Professor Emmons, is there a one particular way that you would advise people to practice gratitude?
For a long time, we thought that the gratitude journal was the royal road to growing gratefulness. That ever since Oprah first talked about gratitude journals on her show, everyone ran out there and they bought a journal. Or entrepreneurial people, they developed journals and they wrote journals, which are basically, bound books that are full of blank pages and gives you space to write down on a daily basis what you're thankful or grateful for. Well, the research shows that there are many different ways to journal. Not all are created equally. Right? We've learned about what works and what doesn't work. Right? So we know certain things work. So I talk about the 3 S's of successful journaling. So we know that if you journal and you write very specific things in your journal, much better than being very global, very diffuse, right? So you don't say, I'm grateful for my job or for my boss or for my spouse. You say, well, what is it about these things that you're grateful for? And then unpack that on a regular basis so that you get to the end of a week or month or how long you journal and you are very specific. You add a lot of details, much more meaningful, because then you can break something larger into smaller components. And you can reflect or meditate on each one of those components. You derive much more benefit from it. So we know there are people who do this, and people have sometimes contacted me. And there's one lady who's been keeping a gratitude journal for 20 years, and she had like 17,000 specific entries in her list. And she told me she tried hard never to repeat the same thing more than once. So she got really, really specific. Some days she would say, well, I'm grateful that I didn't grind up any spoons in the kitchen disposal. Now, that might not be on most people's list, but, I understand her point is a good one, right? That the more variety you have, the more effective it is for you because it keeps you creative, it keeps you fresh. And we know our emotional system, it likes freshness, it likes newness, it likes surprise. So surprise is the second S. Write down things that were surprising today. Maybe you ran into an old friend, or you got a letter in the mail, you got a refund check from the IRS, you got a letter that said Internal Revenue Service, you thought it was going to be a bill, but in fact you overpaid. You thought, wow, I'm grateful now to the IRS, which is not typically on our list either. So what surprises happened today? That's number 2. And the third S is scarcity. So with scarcity, we focus on things that are very rare, unusual, or we might not have much longer in our lives. So sometimes we're on vacation, for example, and we think, wow, this is so awesome. This is not going to be here next week, right? I really want to savor this experience right now because this is scarce, this is rare. I may never be here again, right? So then we appreciate it. It grows in value, which appreciation means. Well, it turns out appreciation is a synonym for gratitude. So through surprise, through specificity, and through scarcity, that's the best way to journal. Now, everything else is trivial. If you like to do it in the morning or evening, write it down in a notebook, in a journal, on the computer. Just think about it in your mind. That's fine too. All that stuff doesn't matter. But what matters are the content, like what you write about, not so much how often you do this. Everything else is just, I think trivial compared to the actual practice of forcing yourself, getting to do it habitually. Then you'll find it just becomes automatic. It becomes part of who you are. The habit becomes a disposition eventually over time.